Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Across the Fence is collaborating with the Lake Champlain Basin Program to share important information about water quality. And today we look at farms. If there's no food without farming, there's no farming without soil. Vermont farmers use innovative approaches in addition to tried and true methods to reduce runoff and keep nutrients in the soil where they belong. Everyone knows agriculture contributes to the phosphorus found in Lake Champlain, but it's also important to learn what farmers, the stewards of the land, are doing to protect natural resources. Let's visit Stony Pond Farm in Enosburg Falls to find out how the Webb family uses a nutrient management practice that helps cows and people sleep better at night when it comes to water quality.
I think of myself as a land steward in creating functioning landscapes that sort of allow humans to kind of harmoniously be a part of a much bigger system.
Our farm is about 300-acre organic dairy and beef farm. We sell our milk to Organic Valley.
And it's the size that we've picked in that it matches very well with 60 cows and the various replacements associated with maintaining a 60-cow milking herd.
Agriculture contributes an estimated 41% of the phosphorus that enters Lake Champlain each year. Many farmers are helping to achieve the goals of the Lake Champlain Phosphorus TMDL by using more effective management practices to reduce runoff. With an eye towards innovation, some farmers are taking novel approaches and scaling and siting their operations in ways that minimize impacts to water quality.
The key to water quality is the key to people and cows integrated harmoniously with a functioning working landscape. One of the unique aspects of our farm is that we've chosen to manage all of our manure as a solid. When we think about water quality, we think about healthy functioning landscapes, the soil being our sort of most effective manure storage system on the farm overall. And so one of the ways that we're doing that is here in our bedded pack facility. This carbon source associated with this bedded pack is a great feed source. It addresses some of the financial needs that we have on the farm in terms of a cost-effective manure management standpoint, and it's also feeding the microbial community that is the foundation of the profit side of our business. So it's really a win-win enterprise. This bedded pack facility gets new sawdust put down once a week, and then it is aggressively aerated with either a spring-tooth harrow or a rototiller on the front of a skid steer. And we're doing that 2 to 3 times a day over the course of the winter season, which allows us to reduce bedding, and it actively composts the material. So most of the winter it's cooking at 140 degrees. You can imagine a nice fluffed up 18-inch deep bed of 140 degree stuff in the wintertime is like a Tempur-Pedic for a cow. They absolutely love it. And if we pan over here, you can see the end byproduct material is just this beautiful lush brown compost. This is microbial food. This is building deep topsoils. This is helping plants grow and sequester atmospheric carbon.
Food production in the Lake Champlain Basin depends on the use of fertilizers, but they are a major source of the nutrients that can impair the lake. Finding new approaches to fertilizing, including bedded pack composting and techniques for applying it, can help reduce the amount of phosphorus that flows into local waterways.
This concrete bunk is a 60 by 90 concrete floor with push walls around the outside. This was designed as the main storage for scraped barnyard manure and compost coming out of the bedded pack facility. So this bunk is centrally located right in the middle of the farm. It's very convenient for me to be able to then work off the center of the farm in my efforts to make sure that in addressing our nutrient management plan, this material is applied to the fields that need it at the time in which they need it.
The water quality decisions we make are having clean water, being able to have our soil have a lot of organic matter and filtering a lot of water, and knowing clean water is coming off from here. And that is running into streams that run into Lake Champlain where people swim. It affects drinking water. It affects so many things. And so it feels like we may only be one family, having these 300 acres and trying to do the best we can to manage it. But I can feel there's a ripple effect. And I think each farm and each person has that responsibility to try to make the best decisions they can.
Joining me to discuss agriculture innovation and improving water quality is University of Vermont Extension agronomist Heather Darby. Thank you so much for joining us today, Heather.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So we've got a lot of ground to cover, literally. So let's start with the basics. And an agricultural practice that you spent your entire career really promoting is cover cropping. What are the benefits to the farmer and to the lake of cover cropping?
Yeah, well, we're definitely approaching that time right now where farmers are getting ready to harvest the corn crop or the soybean crop. And once that crop gets removed from the field has nothing growing on it, and can expose the soil that's there and bare to weather elements. And when it rains or snows or the snow melts, or wind, even soil can move. And when that soil moves, it might move into the waterways and cause some issues with water quality. So the goal of cover cropping is to plant a crop after the main cash crop, which in our case is corn for the most part. And that crop there, the cover crop, grows and holds the soil in place and keeps it from eroding away or blowing away. And that's just one of the functions of cover crops, is really to just literally hold the soil there throughout the entire year.
Right. And how much land do you think was cover crop 20 years ago when you first started with extension as opposed to today?
Yeah, well, I'd love to take credit for for all the acres in cover crop. Yeah, right. But I always tell this story. When I first started, my entire PhD dissertation was on cover cropping. That was one of the research that I was doing, and my goal was, when I came back to Vermont, that I was going to really try to get farmers to cover crop. And so I was searching out farmers that were cover cropping, and it was difficult to find any. And there was one farm up in Fletcher that was cover cropping, still does today. And I think they had about 50 acres or so in cover crops. And then today, of course, going from 50 to 30,000 acres roughly is where we're at today. So about a third of the corn crop gets cover cropped. So we still have work to do, but some pretty big accomplishment over the last 15 years or so.
Well, it's true. It's really rare to see just a brown field these days. They usually have something green going on there. And I imagine, kind of as you're saying, it's important for farmers to see the success a neighbor is having with a farming practice, as opposed to hearing from somebody like you, a farmer, but also an academic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, seeing is believing, right? So there's like these stages, I think, of adoption. And, the first one is someone like me saying, hey, you should do this. This is a good idea. I'm the government. I'm here to help, kind of thing. Sometimes that works. Usually it's the first tier of innovators that will actually, might try something that I say could work. And then that first tier of innovators starts cover cropping. And then the second tier of innovators or adopters sees that. So they see it from their neighbor, from that real innovative farmer that was willing to try it. They see that person has success. So then they think, maybe I should try it. And then it sort of cascades and, becomes just the way we operate, which is what I've been hoping for.
Right, which is very cool. So, as an agronomist working for a land-grant university, are there other ways you get the word out, about the successes that farmers are experiencing?
Yeah. I mean, so through the University of Vermont Extension, our goal is to deliver scientific information to the communities around us in many different formats. And so one of the things that we do, which of course has been on hold this year, is to work with those innovators and have events at their farm or out in their fields, and invite other farmers and crop consultants, other stakeholders, other people involved in agriculture to see that success right on a farm.
Great.
So they can see it's real. It's not just a research project or, you know, in a scientific paper, that real people are doing it and it's working.
So like Tyler and Melanie, Webb, we saw in the video how compost bedded packs or bedding packs are used to manage manure for the herd of about 100 cows or so, and in their case 80 to 100. Is this technique, I mean, could this technique be used for larger herds or conventional farms as opposed to organic farms like they have?
Yeah, bedded packs are, you know, a relatively old practice. They kind of have a new, like everything, you know, sort of cycles, and now they become really, really popular. I would say, you know, they've been become more popular on organic farms because organic producers have requirements to have loose housing where animals can be more social and sort of move about freely. And so a bedded pack is an option for those farms, but bedded packs are used on all types of farms across this state and really across the country. So, you know, sometimes on larger farms, it's the dry cows on a bedded pack or the heifers, on conventional, on organic. So they're all over the place.
Okay. You know, studies done by Lake Champlain Basin Program estimate that probably 40% of the phosphorus in Lake Champlain is from agricultural land, and that's actually less than the 46% or so from urban areas, which is interesting. Is it realistic to think that that number can be reduced, or is it about managing phosphorus that does run off through tillage or other things? With just a minute to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the progress that we've made, and the frame of mind that I think we're all in today that maybe we weren't in 10, 15 years ago, where we're all making changes to protect the environment. And I would say really the farming community has probably done the most. And the data really shows that. If you look at last year's report, the Clean Water Report shows that for the phosphorus reductions in 2019, like 90% of that came from agriculture. So from their work. So yeah, I think that number is going to continue to go down. We're going to continue to fine tune our practices to reduce pollution, and we're just going to get better. And I think what's exciting to me after, as you said, which I can't even believe this at this point, I've spent a whole career working on this, is how engaged the farming community is. Like they clearly want to do their best. They're trying, and do we still have work to do? Yeah, we still have work to do.
Yeah. Heather Darby, one of UVM rock stars. It's so great having you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
To watch more videos from this series and learn about how farmers, municipalities, and community leaders are making a commitment to clean water, visit www.cleanwaterwork.com. And once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.